Sometimes my thoughts come out of the microphone.
Nobody can hear it.
Okay.
John's got that one that echoes really good.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Well, we kind of stopped during COVID because they would shut them down. We went to a few after that, and then my kids started having dances and all this other stuff that we were doing. So we stopped about a year ago somewhere. It was a lot of fun. We liked it a lot.
Quick cheers.
Finally.
Ready to go? Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and call this Planning and Zoning Commission meeting to order this Wednesday, October 25th, 2023, the hour of 7:11 p.m. Sorry for the late start. We had some technical difficulties. Looks like we've got through them though. So, first item on our agenda tonight is the Pledge of Allegiance. If y'all please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next on our agenda is a roll call. Commissioner Dunn.
Here.
Commissioner Proctor.
Here.
Commissioner Sloan.
Here.
Commissioner Robinson.
Here.
Commissioner Jensen.
Here.
Commissioner Goches. Please excuse Commissioner Hammer. We'll also recognize council members Manzione and Hanson. Staff members Mr. Agard, Mr. Cook, Mr. Hall, and I know Mr. Baker's here somewhere.
I don't think you announced that you're here either.
Oh, and I'm Chairman Hamilton. I am also here. All right. Number 3 on our agenda here is a public hearing and recommendation on a request for approval of a minor subdivision by Matt McCoy, Tooele City Fire Department on 3.66 acres of property located at 145 East, 1000 North in the LI Light Industrial Zoning District. Mr. Hall.
Thank you. It is my
duty to let you know tonight on behalf of the fire department that they have withdrawn their application for subdivision. Some things changed or are in the process of changing with the nature of what they're going to do. And it may be back on your agenda in the next few weeks, or it may be gone forever. We'll see how that works out. But for tonight, they've withdrawn that application.
Groundbreaking, we have to go forward.
Okay, we'll strike number 4 on our agenda. Moves us on to, or number 3 on our agenda, moves us on to number 4 as a public hearing and decision on a conditional use permit request by Parminder Singh, PR Best, to authorize the operation of a truck driving school on 11.6 acre parcel located at Garnet Street and Atlas Way in the Industrial Zoning District. Mr. Hall.
Yes, thank you. And again, tonight, we have this item noticed. We noticed the neighbors properly. However, it was too late for us to get it on to get it noticed to the state websites and things in time. I made a mistake with that. So we've notified Mr. Parminder that he'll be, or Mr. Singh that he'll be on another agenda, and we're not prepared to talk about that tonight for that reason.
All right.
So we'll be back again for that one. So.
Making our life easy tonight, then. We'll go ahead and strike number 4 on our agenda and look forward to that coming back.
Let's hammer the lady on item 5.
Yeah, item 5. We've got lots of questions. City council reports.
Took me by surprise. Okay, let's see. At our meeting, we gave out, the mayor gave out some youth recreation grant awards. It's always a good thing from the mayor's golf tournament, and they go to youth groups throughout the city to help them, and so that was awesome. And we approved the ordinance adopting the downtown element to the general plan, and we approved the ordinance that changed the lot size in the infill zone that you guys talked about, and with the minor subdivision stipulation that Commissioner Jensen proposed. And then we also approved the 1 O'Clock Hill subdivision. And that's all I have to report.
All right,
Unless
thank
you
you.
have
Any questions for
questions.
council? Oh, none? Come on,
Okay,
guys.
got off easy.
That was the one, if it was Councilman Hanson, we'd have lots more questions, right? All right, number 6 on our agenda is a review and approval of Planning Commission minutes for the meeting held on October 11th, 2023. Are there any corrections, additions? I'll entertain a motion.
I move we approve the minutes.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Jensen. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And a second from Commissioner Proctor. Commissioner Dunn, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Proctor?
Aye.
Commissioner Sloan?
Aye.
Commissioner Robinson?
Aye.
Commissioner Jensen?
Aye.
Commissioner Goches?
Aye.
I'm Chairman Hamilton. I also vote aye. That one passes 7-0. Number 7 on our agenda, Planning Commission training regarding Tooele City Parks and Recreation.
And Darwin is the only one who stuck with you for the whole night. He's ready to go. So we'll turn the time over.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So I expect the same favor of no question. No, I'm just kidding. I encourage questions. So it was requested that I come and present to you some training on Parks and Recreation and our facility and resource planning. Some of you have seen this. I have updated the information a little bit. No, I guess I'm in control of that. So one of our directions and our steering portions of our plan is that back in 2020, the Tooele City hired Lewis and Young to do a impact fees facilities plan. And so a lot of the information, a lot of our direction that we use is actually steered from this study that was done in 2020. And the goal of the study is actually to try to maintain services to the public. So at that particular time, they did a study of our entire park infrastructure. And the goal is obviously as new people and new developments are built that we try to maintain those services to our current residents so that what they paid for, they still have access for, and then also the new people coming into our community have just the same amount of access, but now they're contributing to what we need to do to enlarge it so that we, who've been here for years, can still have the same services that we enjoyed before. So we use that in our steering, and as we discuss and plan different amenities and things that are needed, that's part of our goal. Having stated that, though, that does not impede us from adding new features that never existed before. So I keep forgetting I'm in control of this, so. That's not the way it is at the, commission meeting. But, so currently, as you'll see, that we have a total of, acreage under the Parks Department is 360 acres. That does include our golf course, which most of our golf course, it's an 18-hole golf course, and most of it's established. So the adjustments that we do there is just mostly improving usage of the course, improving faults that we may have on it that are impacting residents. And so a lot of that doesn't change very much. That wasn't considered in our impact study because it was considered special use. Undeveloped land, we have about 32 acres of undeveloped land, and then our open space is 41 acres, and our developed active parts is 116 acres. This does not include the 7 acres that we just developed at England Acres. We haven't officially completed that contract and have opened it, but it is at the point where it's in use. So this is the basis for what we try to maintain of what's existing. But again, like I said, that doesn't mean that we don't add stuff. So these are some of the things and services that we try to maintain and the things that we're looking at adding. So obviously the impact study accommodates for land acquisition. So if we reach the point to where we don't have enough property to maintain the acreage that we had per capita, we obviously apply that. Sod and irrigation improvements. So 2 of those that we've done here recently is we have completely irrigated Elton Park and City Park. The very last one, and Ochre Hills, or Ochre Ball Field. The very last one to irrigate on an automatic system is Red Del Papa. And so once we get that done, everything will be on an automated sprinkler system. Pavilions. During the summer, the pavilions get used very, very heavily. We noticed a few years ago that we were short larger pavilions. So both of the 2 new pavilions that we've built at England Acres and Wigwam are larger group pavilions that accommodate, family gatherings or organization gatherings. Restrooms. We currently, the deficiency we noticed in that was that 3 of our main parks that a lot of people use were short of restrooms, and that's Settlers Park, Veterans, and Glen Eagles. And so we've started that process of adding restrooms to those locations with Settlers Park. So the Settlers Park restroom is under construction and will be completed before we open for the new season in 2024. And then based upon, so some of our stuff is also driven by funding, obviously, but some not just funding from the council, but also funding from what we can acquire in grants. So there is a very appropriate grant for the Veterans Park that will help us improve that park and put a restroom at that park. So that's kind of going to steer our next direction of whether we hit Veterans next or we get Glen Eagles next.
Do you want my opinion? Veterans.
That's my opinion as well. So it's dead center of our community, and it gets used for a lot of events. So it's one that's, we were really hoping we were going to get the grant last year because it was the one we were going to build, but where that didn't fall through, we're going to continue applying for that grant. Picnic tables. We've had a request from the public to add picnic tables. Both of the new pavilions obviously have 8 picnic tables at each one of them. But then we've also been asked to put pavilions in just out in open spaces. So we're looking at that and getting that on our checklist, our punch list. And then the big one, playgrounds. They unfortunately don't last forever. So it's a big part of our plan of, we pick a playground and we try to pick the oldest one replace it with a new modern one. The average lifespan, just so you know, is about 15 years. Some of them will last longer than 15 years. The problem we run into is at about that point, the manufacturers actually stop making the replacement parts. So if something does happen to them, we usually either have to put a blank on it or just remove the playground altogether. So this year, the playground that we replaced was at Elton Park, the one by the ball field. They put in a fantastic playground, and so.
Can you talk a little bit about what you added at England Acres to make the rest of the playground last a little longer? Specifically the skills.
Yes, and I'll give that. So, and then the big one that was at England Acres. So, at England Acres, we added some features. And are you referring to the ADA portion of it? Yeah. So yeah, we've added ADA features to that one. It's one of our parks that probably has the most ADA access to it. There's a lot of features on there that have that access, and then we just made sure the entire thing was accessible. And then we've I don't know if are there some specific questions or something? I mean,
I know that you put in some apparatus for bigger kids. So that they would quit screwing up the little kids' stuff.
yes. Well, yeah. So, and that playground is one that has, so not all playgrounds, most playgrounds are designed for a certain age group. So there's a part of a playground that can be up to 5 years of age, and then a playground that's 5 to 12. And at that one, we put both features at that playground, just so that there's a place for the younger kids to go, that their skill development isn't quite to the level of the 5 to 12. And we're hoping that some of that other stuff will keep the 5 to 12 older kids off of the smaller stuff. The other goal with England Acres is we notice that when there's big events or things happening, the playgrounds just get really crowded. So we tried to make that one a little bigger in hopes that there's more playing features there, so that it's just not so overly taxed in one spot. So any other questions related to that one? Thanks, Chris. I appreciate that. Trailway walkways. So this is a big thing that we're pushing right now. We've entered into an agreement or a kind of a partnership with the county. The county right now is they're on the mission and vision of having open transportation recreation spots, walking. We have, with our development of the Wigwam Park, they have applied for a grant and earned that grant to build a connecting trail that is almost exactly 5 miles that goes from Wigwam Park up and around the mountain on the northeast, I guess. The reservoir doesn't like run, and then goes back down to Dark Trail. This will be a non-motorized trail, so walking, biking, horses will be allowed, and class 1 bikes, electric bikes. But they have started that trail. That is technically a county trail, partnering with ourselves. They have received MOUs from us, from Settlement Canyon Irrigation, and then obviously the other parts on their own property. But so we're looking at ways to partner with them to make sure what we're putting in the city matches up with what the county's plan is, so that we can at some point have a cohesive connection through the city, through the county, and kind of expand that a little bit so that we have some open area. Because as you guys know, you see some of the developments first, that the growth is happening, and if we don't keep up with it, we'll lose those opportunities to put that infrastructure in place. Many of you know that D.R. Horton is well on their way in their development, and they have committed in their development to have open space. And at some point from you had mentioned about the trail being, you can see the trail that they're making up above your place. They have shaped that in a way that there's just a little tiny connection piece that will have to be done later, that we can actually get connection from there all the way down to England Acres, that will then eventually connect through the D.R. Horton development. So making some progress there on the trails. Volleyball courts, we did install a volleyball court at the Dow James inside, and we do have the apparatuses and stuff for that. Tennis courts, we've kind of relied on the fact that the high school has tennis courts. They're not lit, but they are open and available whenever the high school isn't using, or the high school team isn't using them. Basketball courts, we currently have technically two outside court, well, technically 3 outside courts. 2 of them are used quite regularly. I was speaking with Mr. Sloan that we have a group of, I don't know, I keep saying young, but I don't know how old I am. It's like, I don't picture myself as an old guy, but in their later 20s, 30s that go and do pickup games on both Elton Park and at Copper Canyon Park. The one at Rancho isn't used as much, but we are looking at putting a basketball court at England Acres on that side of the town. We're hoping to partner with local family to get that done and to also light that one so that it has a different availability at different times of the day. Our other ones currently are not lit. Other recreational court and facilities, so a couple to drive some of the things, and I'll get into this a little bit later. So we had a group reach out to us about 4 years ago requesting disc golf. So over the last 3 or 4 years we've been working with them. They have designed it, they've laid it out. We've supported them and have bought the baskets. They have installed all of the baskets themselves, and we've had great success with that. It is a work in progress. It was not initially part of our plan, but they really wanted this to happen, so we supported it. So Dow James Park currently has a 18-hole disc golf, and recently we had an Eagle Scout candidate that put in a 9-hole disc golf and foot golf course at Elton Park. So part of the studies that this group had done is that the professional disc, believe it or not, there are professional disc golfers that make money disc golfing. And in their studies and research of what's holding the public back from getting into disc golf is that the professionals, they like the courses hard. They want them challenging. They want 1,500 foot holes that make it a challenge. The starters, people just getting into it, they do not, and so they get frustrated with it. They don't continue. So it was encouraged that if a community is going to do a disc golf course, that they actually put a short course in to entice people to get interested in the sport. Once they get familiar with the disc, most sets are just 3 discs, but the expanded disc, they get familiar with it. Then they get good enough that they feel like they're comfortable to go to the little more challenging courses. Both Stansbury and our Dow James course are more challenging courses. The Elton Park course is a short course. The longest tee on it is 400 feet. So that is installed and playable. Both courses are on U-Disc and can be played from your phone. Part of those projects as they continue will be adding tee boxes and tee signs to help the public use them a little more efficiently. Multi-purpose fields. This has been a conversation for a while. Ms. Goches, we've had this conversation numerous times. We are short of open field space. England Acres, we did add an additional open field space to that, and we'll add one more in that phase 3 plan of that park. And it's more just everything: soccer, flag football. We have some adult leagues that are playing lacrosse and adult flag football. So that is one of our shortages, is open field space. And so hopefully we're adding those 2 field spaces that will help take in some of that shortage. Concession buildings, I don't know that it's been noted as a shortage. Both new pavilions that we have built do have concession rooms on them, so that they can be used as both dry kitchen for preparation, or for actually for a league to use if they needed to. Parking, we're trying to get better at parking. Some of our parks that were built under the community type plan where you park around the park. We're trying to, head in a direction where at the park, especially the ones that get used a lot, we're actually planning for the high usage parking. England Acres Phase 3 will have another parking lot there so that it can, accommodate that and have a little. I think we'll always have the parking on the street, just depending on how big the event is. But we're trying to get better at planning for parking inside the park itself. Skate parks, I'll openly admit we do not have any additional skate parks on our plan. We've had some requests, but they do tend to bring about a lot of maintenance, and so we do currently have 2 of them at Dow James and at Rancho Park. We have had a request for some pump tracks. I don't know if you're familiar with the pump track. They're little small BMX type tracks, and we are working with the developer right now in planning a pump track at one of our empty, open space areas. So, any question related to those facilities? Okay, so
I've got quite a few questions I've been writing.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you're
If there are
ready for
any
them.
relation to this, you can ask, and then, well, obviously, and I will open up time at the end for any questions, but if you have any related to this,
Yeah, I was just wondering about the wigwam, the trail that's going to go back to Dark Trail. You said it's for walking, biking, horses, non-motorized, but what's the surface material for that?
it will be what do they call, like a prepped ground, prepped dirt. It will not be paved. So native type ground.
Okay, I'll wait for the rest of my
Perfect.
comments.
Okay, so part of our steering is obviously meetings like this. You guys get to interact with the. Oh, I should, before I go in. Well, actually, I'm gonna go 2 slides back. There are 2 slides past this, and then we'll come back. Oh, I'm in control. Oh my gosh. Sorry. We're gonna go right here. Okay. So a lot of our steering comes from these key points. We receive a lot of requests from the public. Sometimes they're in phone calls. Sometimes they're obviously everybody Facebook, screams, whatever you want to call them. Developer-driven designs. The little pump track that we're planning was actually developer-driven. The developer had just seen what amenities we currently have, just asked us if we would be interested in something like that as part of their park plan, and we said, sure, let's see what you can do or see what we can do. Obviously, some of it comes from elected official input. Their constituents are, making calls to them and asking them what they want, what they should do, or telling them what they should do. So from that, employee input, grateful for, employees that live within the community, recreate within the community, and make suggestions to us on things that they would like to see in our wheelhouse, I guess you'd say. And one of those suggestions has been like some more inside meeting spaces. And so as we've been able to occupy more of the Tooele Youth Center, we've actually increased that to where not only now do we have the Dow James, we have the Tooele City Youth Center to be able to help accommodate indoor recreation. Park conferences and park forums. So we actually are members of both the National Park Association and the Utah Parks and Cemeteries. And so we attend those conferences and participate in their forums. I will openly admit that on the park conferences portion, we probably learn more of what not to do than what to do. So this will bring in our conversation of splash pads. Every conference we go to, every single person says don't do them. Every community that has them, the operators of them are regretting that they put them in. Very, very high maintenance and very, very high water usages for the amount of people that actually go to them, and the time in northern Utah that we can have them open is just very costly. So that's one that we've learned. One of the things we did learn this two times ago is, and they are popping up quite a bit, is, as you had mentioned, keeping the older kids off of the younger kids' playground. A lot of parks have been having success with putting what they're calling, I guess, ninja courses. Some people refer to them as, older playgrounds or older youth playgrounds. That if you put those in, you can direct the older generation and the older people to those type of facilities to try to keep them off of your 5 to 12-year-old playground. So we are looking at that at England Acres. We do have a spot mapped out for that. And that was one that was other communities of having successes with it. The first one in the state was down in St. George. They're now putting one in Orem as well. So we're looking at that as well. And then just neighboring municipalities. So part of what we look at with this is we are a close neighborhood, or neighboring municipalities. It doesn't take very much to get to Stansbury. It doesn't take very much to get to Grantsville. So in not duplicating the exact same things at very high cost to the taxpayers, we look at those already existing facilities and see what's there to use that in our, do we really need an additional horse track when there's already a horse track at Desert Peak type situation. So we kind of look at those and what's other things are available. We do try to encourage a balance of open field usage. Not everybody in the county can come to Tooele City and use our fields because we just don't have enough space. So we kind of take that into consideration as well. Any questions on this? Perfect. Any of our guidance? You guys obviously as elected or appointed, hopefully as planning or people who are presenting plans to you and things are mentioned to you, that some of that can get back to us so that we can put that in corporation or into our plan. Back to some of the cost. So as I mentioned before, some of it's all just cost driven. So as we can get funding, most of the time we're using three types of funding: general fund, our park tax, and our park impact fees to do anything in our parks. Once a park is built and it becomes maintenance, it's about $119 per person to maintain our park, and each of our developed acre spaces is about $10,000 to maintain that acre. Obviously, some of it's more than others, but that's about an average of it. Our current level of service initial impact per capita per person, so each of us have an impact, and each of our impacts about $911 if you were to come into the city. So that's according to our impact fee study, that's what the impact you would have. Some cost comparisons. So I did adjust this to our recent projects. So a new facility like what we're building at Settlers Park, which is basically just a two bathroom multi-gender bathroom, is about $240,000. A larger pavilion facility with restrooms is $500,000 just to build the building. Smaller playgrounds, we used to be able to pull off a smaller playground for about $72,000, but they're now about $90,000. Small playground would be similar to the one at Elton Park that we just put in. Medium playground would be closer to the one that we put in at Rancho. And then large playground obviously is just England Acres. Big footprint, lot of components, and then the actual developing the area just around it actually has a decent, significant price tag. Any questions to that? Any figures that maybe you were interested in that I didn't put on here?
I don't know if this is the right time to stop you on this. Talk trees for a minute. I have it on good authority. There's somebody that I'm not mentioning in the room that's concerned about artificial shade and trees in the area, specifically planting it and getting rid of some of the dead ones. Is that part of the plan as well?
Yeah, so we fortunately got a lot of support a few years ago for becoming a Tree City USA, which actually encourages and requires you to spend X amount, it's $2 per capita on tree maintenance, development, planning, whatever. And so that has helped us to focus some of our direction into that. In times past, we really honestly just didn't, everything else was taking up so much time, money, and everything that we just really didn't have the resources to do it. So a lot of it was just managing, trying to keep trees alive. Larger trees, we do hire a company to come in and remove them if they're, you know, over 50 feet. Anything less than that, we remove when it dies. We have getting better. We have been trying to remove any dead tree and replace the dead trees. And, City Council Chairman Justin Brady has just been a huge supporter of this and a big pusher of this. And so we're grateful for his direction and helping us and his support and helping us do that. And this year we have planted over 100 trees. And I think for the most part, we've got a lot of the trees that were dying removed, and I know there are still some out there that need to come down, but we have been focusing on that more. I would love, if there's a tree that's been bothering somebody for a really long time, we have a great work ticket system on our parks website that you can go submit a ticket, and that gets assigned to the person that's over that park. And almost every time it gets removed within a week. So,
Awesome, thank you.
So that was a great question. Thank you, because I actually forgot about that. But yeah, we've gotten trees donated this year. We had 50 trees that were donated this year from actually a nursery that's out of the county for that matter. But and then we've just we had a great partnership with the. Lost words for that. Oh, I'm gonna get in trouble for this one, but they did a wonderful service project this year. They got a grant for $15,000 that bought like 46 2-inch caliber trees. That it was fantastic. It was a great project. The Rotary, thank you. Let's go. The Tooele Rotary, they applied for a grant from Tree Utah. They got the grant, and between Tree Utah, Tooele City, and the Rotary, we planted 46 trees at the wigwam. So, any other questions related to this? Any other, expense or something, cost that I didn't?
You know, if I might.
She's asking about artificial shade.
Artificial shade.
Oh, yes. So that's one of the things. Yes, thank you. And you did mention that. So that was actually one of the things that we learned at a conference not to do. Do not do artificial shade. They turn into climbing structures for kids. It increases your risk at a facility. And they almost every year have to be replaced. And you can't just order one. You actually have to order two every time you do it, because they'll every year you'll lose one that you have to replace. So we are actually counseled that one of our big playground manufacturers actually told us that he wouldn't actually recommend us purchasing them, putting them in. He'll sell them to us, but he doesn't recommend us doing it.
So if you need shade, use a pavilion maybe at one of the
Yeah.
other facilities?
Yep, sorry.
I don't think those people have children.
Yeah.
No splash pad, no shade. So
Yeah, it's the cost of value to get out of them just isn't there. So, any other questions?
I just had questions, that came up, and I think your presentation's fabulous. You talked about the cost to the restrooms, and I'm just wondering, has the damage to our restrooms improved in the city this year? Because we've had a lot of vandalism, and I just wondered how that was
So
going.
I have to say, I noticed, yes, it has. I've noticed.
Quality of vandalism.
Yeah, that's true. I've noticed that we did, so at one of our facilities that we do have cameras eventually going in there, we just need to get the connection there. We keep having repeated vandalism there, and this is at England Acres, so just right across the field though, where we have cameras, it's noted that it's videotaped, or that there's video cameras that is being recorded. We have had none there on the building. So I do believe that it's, if anything, it's a deterrent. We have had some cases where the police was able to use the footage to track the person down, but I think more than anything, it is becoming a deterrent. So as the city council has graciously funded camera projects, I do believe that is helping. I think too, the vigilante of the citizens is helping. Like, you see something, say something, call it in. We do have a great neighbor there at England Acres that really has stepped up and has been quite aggressive of when there's inappropriate behavior, calling the cops and watching until the cops showed up and trying to identify. And I think that's helping too. So, getting a little better, but still not. Like, there's still damage taking place. Door locks. So expensive, and that's what we're in the process right now, switching all of our door locks to non-handles. Each time a handle gets damaged, it's $300 that we can't spend in the park improvement. So we're actually getting rid of all trying to get rid of all the door handles and just going to deadbolts. Good question, thank you.
Sure.
Any others? Great. So lastly, I was going to change the slide out, but I wanted to just mention this. So, not everything always ends up in our plan. Pickleball wasn't part of our long-term plan, but there was such a request for it that we put it in, and it is very popular and has become very successful. I had always thought that, hey, we built 12 courts, we're good and solid, and we'll be good for years. But it's become such a intricate part of that park that we are looking at other locations to put this in. We have had a developer that's asked about adding some in the north part of the town. So, obviously we would consider that. One of the other amenities that was just added here recently was Gaga-Ball. If you don't know what Gaga-Ball is, go to England Acres. You can read about it right there and take a dodgeball or a dodgeball type ball with you, and you can play Gaga-Ball. We had an Eagle Scout that put it in at 3 different locations. So we have that at England Acres, Wigwam, and we also have a portable one at our youth center that can either be set up inside or outside on the patio. So we do look at different activities that can add a better quality of life to the citizens. And we're, we disc golf wasn't part of our plan, and here we have it now. So any questions on that? We talked, where we headed. So, we talked, some of these stuff is already built. The Red Del Papa Playground will be one of our next ones. The irrigation at Red Del Papa. We're looking at golf cart storage. We've done the Dow James disc golf, the Dow James foot golf. We decided to incorporate it with once we learned about foot golf, we learned that foot golf does not work on 1,500 foot tees. So we put that in the short one. We are the second city in the state of Utah to have a foot golf course. Obviously, completion of England Acres Park and Wigwam Park. We're trying to come up with a plan for a permanent amphitheater stage situation at City Park. I do make it a habit of whenever I tour any other city, I go look to see what they have. So we're getting closer to that. And then the park in the final phase of Copper Canyon, which is where we're working with the developer for a pump track. And then we have listed here as a park in the Rogers Road area, which, you know, as we're not quite there yet because we haven't reached our maximum of our level of service yet, but with the continued growth, we'll get there. So, any questions? Melody, you had some more questions? I'd love to answer your questions.
If you're ready, you know,
Yes.
on this list of where you're heading, you know, we've talked about new baseball parks, diamonds, the facility. It's really needed. And then, you know, we can look at it in terms of tourisms and tournaments that bring revenue in to support our businesses, our hotels, and things like that. But that's not on the list of where we're heading, so.
Yeah, and that's kind of part of our park in Rogers Road, because we have one of the things we did learn at the conference and from the MHTN, who does we partner with them on some of our designs, is that your bang for your buck is to build a fourplex. Because if you're building one baseball or one diamond, you're spending as much in landscaping and everything as if you were doing two. And if you're doing two and only two, you're spending as much as if you were doing four. So the bang for the buck is to do a fourplex. So our situation right now is none of our open spaces are capable of you know, accommodating a fourplex type field.
You didn't mention that there could possibly be funding for acquisition of property. So.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of exciting.
And that's part of our park impact fee structure, is that when that comes to that point, that's what those fees, you know, we'd come up with a plan and then use those fees to do that. Any other question? I did forget to mention too, is one of our requests, and it's been a request since I've been here, was a dog park. So England Acres will have a dog park. This is kind of a catch-22. So it was one of the things we learned at a conference, is that if you have a dog park, you have a place to send the dog owners that are on the ball fields or letting their dogs run, and you can tell them, hey, dogs aren't allowed on the diamond field or the ball of diamonds or whatever have you. But we have a dog park over here. But we've also learned too that dog parks do bring in a little higher of dog issues in between, you know, dogs themselves, unvaccinated dogs, issues with those. But it was one of those things where they said, if you get a dog park, at least you have that place to tell them, hey, instead of you running your dog off leash here, would you go running off leash at the dog park? So we did. It's not huge, but it's not small either. So.
I have a couple more questions, if you don't mind.
They're all questions that they have. You're just going to ask them.
Well, you know, we have so many youth sports and recreation, and these are all run by volunteers. And I know the hard work that goes into it. I've been the youth conference football president myself. We need a community recreation council that's similar to the Tooele City Arts Council. That way these organizations can talk to one another about scheduling and where they're going to be practicing and things like that. And I don't know if that's in the plans or being considered.
So it has been part of our conversation. So we have discussed this numerous times with the Tooele County Parks Department. We're at least on the same page in that we feel that the communities are so close, and that so many of the rec leagues share participations from all the citizens of the Grantsville, Stansbury, Erta, Tooele, that Tooele County would be the better lead of that organization, just because they do have to share the fields with all of the entities that own fields. Meaning if Tooele City was running that, we wouldn't have jurisdiction or have the best standing point or the leg to stand on to request from Grantsville, hey, where our leagues are in need of field space, can we use your fields? Whereas if it was the county leading that out and leading that association, they would have a better standing with all of the communities. So, and it has been part of our discussions.
Great. You know, I'm amazed that the footprint that you have in Tooele City. I just wondered, just for everybody's information, how many employees are on the park staff? Because they are doing a tremendous amount of work.
So in the parks department, so with over the acreage of parks, we have 6 permanent employees, and then during the season, we have 12. In the entire parks department, now I should justify this because it does actually include the animal shelter and the cemetery and building maintenance, but there's about 128 employees. And some of those, just so you know, are seasonal, but then I think I counted one time that there's like 60 to 70 high school students that actually work for us.
That's great.
It's fantastic. It's a great place to have a summer job, and the pool is a fantastic place for a high school student to work and to get hours to continue schooling, obviously, but then also have a good job while they're doing it. So it does take a lot of manpower to keep it all going.
I'll say. You know, I had a question in the very start of your presentation about the open space. And, you know, where exactly is our open space?
It does, so part of that is considered in the wigwam, because that is considered undeveloped or unperfected ground right now. And then there's acreage on the golf course that isn't part of the developed plan, or part of the actual landscaped and irrigated part. And then some of that does include the unfinished part of England Acres. And then just, trailways, all of Devil's Ditch is now part of that open space. Or does everybody know Devil's Ditch? Like I say that, you're not going to call the trail that, are you? And I was like, well, that's what it's called.
What we called it growing up.
Well, right, exactly. That's where I'd go ride my pedal bike.
And they built houses in it.
Right.
Jeez.
So that's part of it. Some of our, part of some of the park's infrastructure is actually retention ponds retention detention pond, and those are also considered open spaces too.
So do we have anything that's like a natural open space that we consider? You know, we had a lot of property that was up on Skyline that was sold to a developer. Is there anything like that's included in this, or?
Not in those numbers, just because it wasn't considered part of our recreation area. But just so everybody knows, the city does own over 200 acres up Left-Hand Fork that we have open for recreation. Part of the trail the majority part of the trail that's being built by the county is actually on the Tooele City's property up on Left-Hand Fork. And that is all protected. Thankful to the council that's all protected sensitive areas, so that it can't be developed or sold for the development. So it will maintain that usage for hopefully as long as all of us are here, right? So, any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, awesome, thanks.
Yeah,
Obviously, everybody knows the city email address, but it's darwinc@toolecity.org or soon to be .gov. Both will get to me, but any suggestions, please reach out to us, send us emails. When your guys' neighbors, constituents reach out to you guys and say, hey, when in that development that's coming for you, make them do this. Share it upstream to us so that we can put it into our plan and maybe encourage it too. Obviously, Andrew, sets up the pre-development meetings and all those pre-planning meetings. So obviously those, some of the stuff comes as just a blank slate sometimes. Well, what would you like to see? And so there's a lot of steering that can take place as we're, going through those initial starts and processes. So
I know there was 2 pretty major events at Dow James over the weekend, and that facility's, I'm glad it's being used because it's in really good shape. You guys are doing some really neat things with that.
So, and again, thanks to the city council, we have committed that we're putting $25,000 every year into the budget of the Dow James improvement so that we can just continue add to that. This year, our plan is to replace 100% of the tables and chairs, and we're replacing 100% of the fixtures in the bathroom, so.
Awesome.
What I'm really appreciating is the trail system. We're all, sounds like the city council, the planning commission, you guys were all on the same page about getting some trails through our city, so
Yeah,
that's
it's
that's
gonna
much
be
appreciated.
fantastic. It is. It's gonna be fantastic. And there's a couple other ideas and stuff that are in the works that are just not there yet, but we're trying to, so just so everybody knows, I meet with the county once a month. The parks director of the county and myself, Corey Bullock, meet once a month to make sure that the plans they're doing and the plans that we're doing in the city continue to match with each other so that we can not end up them clear over on a whole nother side of where we're going, so that eventually we can have, I mean, there's a long-term goal that hopefully you'll get from any one of the canyons all the way down to Deseret Peak complex, so.
That's great to hear. Good. Any other questions for Darwin?
Perfect. Thank you.
I appreciate the time.
Yep, thanks you.
Very knowledgeable. Helps us out in our future planning as well. All right. That's it for everybody. Moves us on to number 8 on our agenda. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned. Thank you, Commissioner Robinson.